Hello everyone, Fanta here, and you're watching FANTAVISION. Today I'm wearing the semi-formal get-up again because I got the tie on, so it's semi-formal. Now, we're not doing full-on financial Fanta because we're not getting into the nitty-gritty detail of different financial situations of companies. Instead, we are going to look at the top 10 companies right now that are handling the COVID crisis correctly. Now, the reason I put that in quotes is because a lot of these companies really show the state that we're in with our economy and companies and really the world as a whole. Now, this top 10 list comes from Forbes. I was taking a look at their website. I was actually sent the link by a fan. I forgot who sent me it. If it was you, let me know in the comments down below. I'll put you in the description. Also today, I'm drinking Iron Root Harbinger. It is a delicious whiskey. It's from Texas, not Kentucky, and I'll go into the details of that after the fade out. So, here are the top 10 companies that Forbes deems as the best companies when it comes to handling the coronavirus situation. Now, I'm going to have my own little say, and I'm also going to discuss the different points that they brought up. So, let's go ahead and dive into number one, a company I never thought I would see number one on any best company list, and that's Verizon. Verizon is supposedly number one. So why is Verizon number one? Let's take a look. As of early May, they had not laid off any employees due to the virus. I mean, that's great. That's honestly a good thing. A lot of people are being laid off. I don't even know what the numbers are of unemployment right now, but it got really bad. The fact that they didn't lay anyone off, I will give props for that. They offered extra pay to people in offices or in the field. So it's people that are stuck in the office, like they have no choice but to be in the office, and the people in the field that are dealing with the different lines and stuff like that. So that's good, extra pay. Now, I didn't see if there were details on whether or not this was temporary. A lot of these different things, including this right here, held back on cutting service for customers struggling to pay until the end of June. A lot of these different benefits and things that these companies are doing ended at June. June was last month. We're halfway through July and we're getting worse. We're not at the peak, we're just going up. It keeps getting worse here in the United States. I don't know how it is for everyone else besides New Zealand, who's laughing at everyone else, but for us here, it just keeps getting worse. And even though it's still getting worse, all these benefits are ending. A lot of these benefits are ending in June. In fact, a lot of the things that Comcast was doing, like giving me unlimited data and giving unlimited data for Cox and all these other places, because people are working from home, that is all ended. Even though we should all have unlimited data forever, or at least until the pandemic has calmed down a bit and we're going back to the offices, but nope, they've ended it now because that's what these companies are doing. Rant over. Verizon also created a leave of absence program because of COVID that paid 100% for 6 weeks and 60% for 16 weeks. And they gave $54 million to nonprofits. That's awesome. That's great that they're giving 6 weeks, 100% paid vacation. Phenomenal. That's great. And then up to, 16 weeks for 60% of pay? Phenomenal. That's great. That's so good. Honestly, I feel like that should be every company right now. And I understand that's a very big thing to ask of companies because it's a long time not to have those employees. But when it's a pandemic of a virus that lasts for a very long time in your system, it makes sense to have a very long paid time off type situation. Also, the $54 million to nonprofits doesn't mean shit to me because Verizon doesn't pay any taxes. So we paid $54 million to nonprofits. Good job, us. Number two, I can understand a lot more than a lot of these other companies, and that's Target. Target raised wages for their workers. They're offering 30-day paid leave for at-risk workers and implemented measures to make sure their stores were clean and safe. Cool. That's great. Target, out of all of the different retail chains, seems to be one of the best to work at, though it is very difficult to get full-time. But, I mean, that is the same thing with Walmart, and Walmart does a lot of other bad things as well that make them look a lot worse than Target. So it's cool to see Target so high on the list because it really is a company that seems to not be on most people's shit list. Number 3 is AT&T. A lot of the phone companies are going to be on here, and I don't agree. And I'll tell you why in a second. So they have everyone from working from home now. Most places where they have an office that can do that have already done that. So whatever, that's not really a point in my opinion. Increased pay, that's great. Provided parents with extra time off, that's great. Because there are a lot of people that I'm sure are struggling with the fact that they now have to live with their kids 24/7 instead of sending them to school or daycare. So that's got to be an interesting situation that I'm glad I don't have to deal with. They gave financially struggling customers more time to pay again until end of June. It's ended again, end of June. I get they have to get paid at some point. They do have to make money, but we're still at the height of the pandemic. We're still at the height of people losing their jobs. And they donated $10 million to expand online learning. Now, I don't know if AT&T pays taxes. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that they don't because they're a giant corporation and Verizon doesn't. So congratulations to us again for the $10 million donation. And if there are commenters that are going to start ranting at me for donation shaming, you should just probably leave the video now because I don't care. Because that's just a fact. It's a fact that a lot of these companies are not paying taxes. So whenever they give money to charities, it was our money to begin with. They've used all these different loopholes, and now they're using these donations as some great way to make their company look awesome. It's like they use it for marketing. I did a video about Rockstar and people got pissed. I don't care, okay? If you're going to get pissed. Just know that I don't care. Now, this is a company that I'm very shocked to see on here. I don't know what Forbes does to put these scales. They gave like a number system to kind of determine what and what wasn't. Out of 5, I think this got like a 3 point something. A lot of them got 3 point something. I don't quite know how they did the rating system, but Walmart is number 4. And let's go ahead and break down what the points were that got them at that high level. They gave $1 billion in bonuses to employees. Now it sounds like a lot of money, but they have a lot of employees. So if you break it down from what they say on their website, it looks like they gave like 2 to 3 bonuses of about $200 to most employees. It was like $400 to assistant managers, $300 to full-time, and like $150 to part-time. Most of Walmart's employees are part-time employees, so I averaged about $200 for most employees. Congratulations. You got an extra $400. I mean, that's great. That's awesome. I think a pay raise would have been better, but you know. Now this I'll give them credit for. They did hire 200,000 people. That's great. Unfortunately, that 200,000, over half of those are temporary positions just because of how busy a lot of these stores are, shockingly, even though a lot of these stores are making more money now that we're in a pandemic because so many people are stuck at home and not as many people are eating at restaurants. So they're making their own food at home or they're buying frozen food and they have nothing else to do. So they just go shopping. So we're seeing record breaking numbers. So they're even allowed to hire that many people. But that is honestly good in a time where a lot of people are losing their jobs. They also created new sick leave rules for COVID, giving everyone 2 weeks with pay. I feel like 2 weeks with pay should be the bare minimum for everyone to have. I mean, that's the fact that they didn't have 2 weeks paid beforehand. I mean, that's not good. Okay. For sick leave, 2 weeks is nothing. A lot of people have medical issues that happen more than 2 weeks, and believe it or not, they can't control that. And I understand that some companies are going to work with these people, but I know Walmart, and I know that they don't work with people. I know many people that have been fired from Walmart because they had illnesses that kept popping up and they had to keep taking time off. And if you take too much time off, you accrue too many points or whatever they call it, and they can you. So I think 2 weeks should not be something we say good job for. It should be, why haven't you done this before? I feel like a lot of these different things that we're seeing from these companies should have been done before. You know, and it took a global pandemic for them to enact this stuff. And that's probably temporary, just like everything else that has been made with these companies that are in the top 10. I understand. I was trying to make a more positive episode, but as I'm reading this, and as I was reading through the article and looking at the different companies that were on there, I got a little bit more and more upset. So if I seem a little bit on edge in this episode, it's the fact that these companies, they're deemed the best. And some of them, good God, they're coming up, and I can't believe they're on this list for best companies. I know it's about COVID, but the fact that they're anywhere on any best of list is shocking to me. For instance, number 5, T-Mobile. This is a company that laughs in the face of net neutrality before it was even voted out. What do I mean by that? I mean they gave an unfair advantage to Netflix by making Netflix not use up customers' data. So they would let their customers use as much Netflix as they wanted, which then makes it an unfair market for Hulu and Amazon and all the other streaming platforms out there. Now, I understand those are all big companies, so who cares? But it's just the fact of the matter that one company got preference over another when it came to data usage. That is the opposite of net neutrality. They're all supposed to be treated equally, but one did some sort of shady background deal. Unlimited internet. Congratulations to Netflix users. So what do they do to get on the list? They gave unlimited data to customers through June. So that's over with. I don't count that anymore. And they gave unlimited data. I mean, that's great. Again, that's awesome. But why isn't it always just unlimited data? Anyway, they relaxed the attendance policy and gave more time off to their workers. And they worked with other companies to donate 40,000 phone chargers to hospitals nationwide. That's pretty cool. Phone chargers are something that hospitals, I'm sure, really need. You know, they really do need people to have phone chargers. They need doctors to have phone chargers. They need the people that are sick to have phone chargers. It's great. However, again, it's probably another company that is not paying taxes. So it's like we again donated those 40,000 phone chargers. So I'm going to go ahead and give us the point for that one. Good for us and our tax money. Number 6. The Lowe's companies. They increased pay and bonuses for employees since March, extended emergency leave, and in May, they required employees to wear face masks in stores and when visiting customers' homes. Okay, why did it take until May for them to start requiring face masks? I mean, think about it. If here it started getting big in March, why did it take them till May? I don't quite understand that, but I guess good on you for not taking until now, which a lot of places are. We're in July, so I guess they were somehow ahead of the curve. God, this is so sad. Number 7 is Starbucks. Now, this is one of those companies that I said I am shocked to see on any of these lists because they have worked with farms that have actual slavery. Yeah, so Starbucks, I don't know if you knew this, have been caught buying beans and working with plantations that have slave labor. How is this not more talked about? How is this not like a known thing? How is Starbucks even in business multiple times, mind you? This is not like a singular moment of, oh yeah, this Starbucks certified plantation, we found out later, we can't believe it, there was slavery. Multiple times this has happened. I remember this even being reported on when I was going to college, and it's happened so many times since too. Ridiculous. Absolute ridiculous. Anyway, why are they on this list? Well, they raised wages temporarily, established a new mental health benefit, and that includes 20 sessions with a Lyra health therapist, and they sent thermometers to company-owned stores. So they didn't send thermometers to all Starbucks. They didn't send it to franchisees. They sent them to only company-owned stores. And this is still in the top 10 list of how companies have handled this pandemic. Could they really not afford to send thermometers to every store? Was that too much money? Was that too much to ask? Good God. Gotta be positive. Gotta be positive. Gotta be positive. It's top 10 list of best companies. Gotta be positive. Number 8, Home Depot. They added more time off for at-risk employees, handed out thermometers to give health checks before workers' shifts, which is also something that Walmart is doing, and donated N95 masks to healthcare providers. That's cool. I mean, those are good things. I don't see, a raise or anything. I mean, this is a store that never really closed during the pandemic. This was open. This was considered one of those stores that was necessary, but they didn't give raises or anything. And I saw my local Home Depot, the whole parking lot was packed every single day. I wish they got some sort of hazard pay. I don't get why they weren't, but there you go. They're still on this list. Okay. Number 9 is JP Morgan. What did they do to get on this list? They offered $1,000 bonuses to their tellers. They gave extra paid leave, paid for COVID testing for employees, which is honestly something that I feel like all of these companies should be doing, but they're not. And I don't quite get that. I feel like, I mean, even the number one, Verizon was not doing that. Target was not doing that. I mean, those are things that maybe that's part of their clean and safe policy of Target is they test workers, but I feel like that should have been a bullet point for all of these different places that, at least the places that work with the general public, they should be paying for these tests to see if their employees should be working. You know what I mean? Instead of spreading it. Okay. And they established relief funds for small companies and businesses. I mean, that's great. I don't quite know the details of these loans. I looked into it, couldn't quite get the details on that. But I mean, if there are really low interest or interest-free loans to these struggling businesses and companies, that'd be great. That's awesome. Number 10, the Kroger company. They added extra sick leave and emergency paid leave. They made testing available to frontline employees and offered a temporary pay raise of $2 an hour with one bonus of $400 to full-time workers.
They threatened their associates to pay that money back or else. Well, after bad PR, they decided, well, you can just keep it.
And I'm sure that temporary bonus of $2 an hour is probably gone, just like Eric's is gone, just like most people's temporary bonus is gone. It seemed like everybody thought the pandemic would be over in June. It's not. It's worse than ever. Here we are in July, but everything's done. Companies are done caring. They're done pretending to care at least. And they're taking away all the different hazard pay, or they're forcing them to pay it back, or they're cutting their pay to get the hazard pay back. I mean, there's an infinite amount of things that these companies, it's so sad. There's so many reasons that we should just be upset with these companies on a regular basis because, I mean, Starbucks is on this list. And they're going to be in my series of most evil companies. What does that say? You know? I mean, that's just crazy to me that I was trying to make a positive episode. And I had a couple people go, oh, that's a great idea. Do a positive episode because, I mean, you need to. You need to do something positive. And it's hard to be positive when all of these companies are they're just so awful. Some of the ones that are on here should not be on any best of list. They should be on a list of companies full of people that should go to jail. Companies that should be called out for what they're doing. But instead they're on this top 10 list because so many people are mishandling the situation. So I'm sorry this isn't the positivity episode I was honestly hoping for, and I'm sure you were as well. But I did want to discuss that a lot of these things that companies are getting credit for, they shouldn't be. They're things that they should have been doing either since the beginning, or they should just pay their taxes and not use our money as a marketing tactic to add fake karma to their karma score, their popularity karma score, so the masses love them, even though, again, it's basically just our money that's being repurposed for advertising. And I get that's a cynical way to look at it, but to me it's a realistic way to look at it because that's exactly what's happening. There you go. Those are the top 10 companies that are handling the pandemic well, I guess. According to Forbes, I don't quite agree with their list a whole lot. Some of those on there really do deserve to be on there, but a lot of these companies, like I said, they should have been doing it. They should have done it sooner. And they have so many policies they've added they just should have had since way before this whole thing even happened. It shouldn't have taken a pandemic for Walmart to give people 2 weeks off. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let me know in the comments down below if you think there's a company that really does deserve to be on this list, and how you feel about the list in general. Like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys. So today, like I said, I'm drinking Iron Root. Here's a close-up of the bottle, if it focuses. There we go. Boom. Texas whiskey. Not Kentucky, not Tennessee. It's Texas. And because it's from Texas, it's only aged 32 months. But it has so much flavor, so much character to it. I mean, it's delicious. It is 57.5% alcohol, though. So it is a very high proof at 115. And, I mean, it doesn't taste young at all. It's because Texas, I mean, you get that Texas heat. You get those crazy temperature variations. It makes a really interesting whiskey. And Balcones makes some good stuff as well. And I guess this won World Whiskies Award of Best Bourbon. I mean, this is one like Best Craft Distiller in the world a couple times. I mean, it's a really interesting company. They're doing a lot of interesting things with different types of corn. They have some whiskeys that are made of all corn. I don't know. I like it a lot. Just a little whiskey nerd knowledge at the end in case you guys cared to see what I was drinking. It's a cask strength. It was like $50. And for $50, I mean, you get cask strength whiskey. So they didn't water it down or anything like that. And it is a limited batch. So if you do want to try it, I don't know how many bottles are going to be in your area because I'm close to Texas, so I'm lucky. I can actually get my hands on this stuff. So I'm wearing a Zelda shirt because I recently beat Ocarina of Time. I am now streaming Majora's Mask. I've beaten the first temple, so if you want to join me in the future, I stream pretty regular these days. I wouldn't say every other day, but it's a lot. So come on by and watch me struggle with a game that plenty of children have beaten just fine.